Okay, it's 8 o'clock. We're back on the record. Mr. Duffy is still under oath, and it is now Attorney Frass's witness.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Duffy, you claim that you have the knowledge, qualifications, and experience to evaluate what is appropriate for a chief of police professional's conduct, correct?
Yes.
And you claim that you have this knowledge, qualification, experience to make the proper determination regarding termination or demotion or discipline, right?
Correct.
Now, you've never been a town manager before, have you?
I've been here for 2 years and 2 months.
Right, before coming to Woodstock.
That's correct.
Okay. Your education is in finance and international politics, correct?
Correct.
And your job title was accountant for the town of Stoneham.
Town accountant.
Pardon me?
Town accountant, which is equivalent to finance director in Massachusetts.
Town accountant
Yes.
for the town of Stoneham that you worked for 2 years before coming to Woodstock.
Correct.
Okay. This time I'd like to admit Mr. Duffy's CV, if that's okay. Exhibit 1.
No objection.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I have a copy of the exhibits if I'm going to be seeing them?
Here, I'll give it mine. Thank you. I'm going to put the ones that matter up on the thing for us to look at together.
Just see my neck, if I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, when you applied for the Woodstock job, the job posting for town manager actually indicated that Woodstock was looking for someone who had experience supervising independent professionals such as police and fire, correct?
I believe so, yes. I don't have the description in front of me, but yes.
Pardon me?
I don't have the description in front of me, but I
Let me show it to you then. It's actually exhibit. It's an exhibit. It's exhibit number 2. Let me see. I can. Oop. Were you able to find that?
I have it. I'm just looking for the language.
All right, here, you can turn around and look at this. We can look at it together. It's
Let's see.
probably, prospective candidates should be able to demonstrate working knowledge of local government, experience supervising independent professionals and police and fire chiefs, correct?
Correct.
And may I move to admit exhibit?
Yes.
Yes,
Exhibit 1, this is?
that's 2.
2. Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you. Okay. Now, you've had other than the past 2 years and some odd months you've been on the job, you've had no experience supervising police chiefs.
I work with them as department heads.
I understand you work with them on their budgets, correct?
All financial related matters. I also work closely with the deputy chief of staff in the city of Lowell for over a year.
My question was, you've had no experience supervising police chiefs.
That's correct.
Okay. No training in law enforcement or police procedures, policies, protocol, correct?
I've had to be well versed in police union contracts for a number of years.
I'm not asking you that, Mr. Duffy. I'm asking if you've had training in law enforcement or police procedures, policies, and protocol.
What do you mean by training?
Training, like education.
I believe working in a police department for a year and a half would be some type of education, yes.
Working where?
In the police department, I was the budget director for the Lowell Police Department.
All right, but you have no personal training as a police officer, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you think that working with police officers or near police officers is the same as having training in law enforcement or police
I
procedures?
didn't say that.
Okay, so you agree you have no training in law enforcement or police procedures, policies, and protocol?
I didn't say that either.
So neither is true.
I work with them, and I believe working with people, you gain skills and knowledge. If you're asking for professional training, then no.
Okay, but somehow vicariously you were able to somehow get some experience in law enforcement, police procedures, policies, and protocol by working near police officers.
With them?
I think it's an argumentative question.
I'll move on. Now, you immediately became responsible for overseeing the police, fire, and rescue departments when you started your job, correct?
Yes,
Something you had never done before.
correct.
And at times, since starting your job, you've actually, like you were drowning in your job, correct?
That's not correct.
Isn't that what you told the Vermont Standard? in September 2024, I think it is. I can find
I
that.
did not tell the Vermont Standard that was a word in a public meeting.
That you said you felt like you were drowning.
So that word was an unfortunate but specific word I used in a meeting. The select board was, and the trustees were setting goals, and they were trying to figure out what goals to focus on. And I wanted to establish with them that as much as I agreed with some of the goals, we didn't have the bandwidth at the time to take on everything. And so I used a word to let them know that more work upon us would have dire consequences.
So you did use the word that you felt like you were drowning in your job.
I want to read the quote first before I comment.
All right, let me get that for you.
So in context, I said, what I mean is there's a lot of work for us to do and a merger would be helpful because it would minimize the work. And
But the word of drowning is in there.
my intent with the word was that a merger would help us.
Okay, thank you. We can move on. Now, one of your first significant tasks when you became town manager in 2023 was finding a new police chief to serve after Chief Lish's retirement, correct?
No, I say there was a lot of things before that. We had to have an officer go on the Loud Mill decision. After an incident, we had to let go another police officer who was on probation. We had
I'm not asking Mr. Duffy for all of your significant tasks. I'm just saying one significant task was to find a new police
one
chief.
of many, yes.
Okay. And I think you've already said you conducted a nationwide search,
Correct?
and Chief Swanson was an applicant.
Correct?
Okay. And Chief Swanson submitted his CV at that time, which showed his prior history, and you learned that he was a part-time officer from 2007, a full-time police officer since 2007, promoted to corporal in 2013, and sergeant in 2014, correct?
I was aware of that beforehand, but yes, it's on the CV.
Okay. And I'd like to have that admitted, exhibit number 4.
No objection.
Okay,
Which exhibit is that?
4. It's the CV of
Okay, exhibit 4 is it?
Chief Swanson. Now, you also learned that Chief Swanson had served in the military in the U.S. Army Vermont National Guard and had been deployed to Afghanistan, correct?
Yes?
You learned that Chief Swanson had been shot in the line of duty while responding to a homicide in Woodstock the year before you were hired, correct?
Correct?
You learned that he won awards, the Department's Medal of Honor and the Medal of Valor by the New England Police Benevolent Association, correct?
Correct?
You learned that he was also named Law Enforcement of the Year by the Vermont chapter of the American Legion.
To be clear, law enforcement officer of the year, is that?
Yes.
What the title is? Okay, thank you.
Yep. Correct?
Correct?
Okay. And a thorough background check was done on Chief Swanson, correct, before, as part of the hiring process?
Yeah, with the third party person we hired, correct?
Okay, and there's been a lot of talk about how Chief Swanson is not Chief Lish. He does things differently. As part of your hiring process, you actually had a letter from Chief Lish recommending Chief Swanson for the job, correct?
Correct?
And in that letter, didn't Chief Lish tell you that no two chiefs were the same, and he didn't expect that Chief Swanson would actually be doing the job in the same way that he would do?
I believe so, yeah.
In fact, he said that expecting someone that is replacing the former chiefs to be exactly like the former chiefs is to set them up for failure, correct?
Yes, I believe he'd also say that they should have similar skills and leadership and accountability as well.
And so if we're talking about, hold on. Okay. And he believed, according to this letter that he sent to you, it was actually addressed to you, Mr. Duffy, correct?
And the village trustees as well.
Right. And
If I may, I'm losing track of what this has to do with the direct examination, since we're on cross here.
we're on cross, but this is, this is appropriate for what the qualifications and how he's evaluating Chief Swanson.
Well, if I may, the hiring of Chief Swanson's not at issue. Mr. Duffy's already admitted he hired Chief Swanson. He obviously thought he was qualified for the job when he hired him. I don't understand why we're on cross-exam
Well, all of the
talking
case
about
law,
his.
all of the case law says that the history of an accused employee is very relevant to the type of discipline or the just cause that, or the type of, basically what is supposed to happen is a reflection of everything that has gone on up to that point.
I'm going to deny the objection because I do think it's inappropriate. So the manager's experience is appropriate for us to understand across. So, carry on.
Okay, so it's on Exhibit 5, if you, and actually I think we can, okay.
I have it in front of me.
Pardon me?
I have it in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I may, hearing officer, I think you said the manager's experience. I was objecting about the chief's experience.
Okay.
But we're
I
talking,
did hear, so here's the thing, I heard you object to that, counsel, thank you for pushing that. So, up until just a moment ago, we were talking kind of about the manager's experience,
yes,
and now we are talking about the chief's experience.
they're interrelated. The manager is evaluating the chief's experience, and the manager's evaluation and knowledge of the chief's experience up over the years and up to including the time of discipline is a relevant factor in the discipline to be administered.
Yeah, I can agree with that, so please.
Okay. So you were talking about that Chief Flish had some comments about leadership, but he also believed that Sergeant Swanson at the time was extremely qualified to become a leader. In fact, he says he is well respected by his fellow officers and is seen as a leader, correct?
Correct?
Okay. I'd like to have this admitted as Exhibit 5.
Any objection, counsel?
Just the objections previously stated, so I assume they're overruled or admitted.
It's admitted, yes, exhibit 5 is admitted. Notwithstanding any objections.
And in the same vein, when you were evaluating Chief Swanson for his chief position, you found no prior complaints against him. Certainly nothing official, correct?
No, I feel when we go into the process, there are people who express concerns about the new coming chief to me.
I'm talking about formal complaints that would have been in his personnel file.
There was one or two disciplinary pieces of paper in his personnel file. I think one from 2000, I want to say 9, and then maybe one from 2011 or 12.
Was that the one about him taking too long of a lunch break?
There was one, I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize, about not I don't want to speak out of turn. I think there's one from former Chief Kelly and then one from former Blish.
And the Blish one was about the lunch break.
I don't recall.
Okay. Certainly no one came forward from to object once you were in the process of hiring him, correct?
What do you mean by anyone coming to object?
They didn't make any formal complaints or do anything formal to try to stop you from hiring
Who's
Chief
they?
Swanson. Anyone, the public.
Again, I think there are people in the public who came to me expressing concerns about selecting him as chief.
But nothing of any import that would cause you not to hire him.
At the end of the day, Chief Swanson was the best candidate we had.
And you expressed your opinion publicly that Chief Swanson was well qualified and found to be the best candidate for the position, correct?
Yes.
And that wasn't just rubber stamped because he had been serving Woodstock for 20 years, first as patrol and then coming up through the ranks to corporal and then sergeant. He wasn't just rubber stamped for that, right?
What do you mean by rubber stamp? Sorry.
Just because he was a Woodstock police officer, you went through the same grueling hiring process that you would go through for an external candidate.
Correct, but I think to Chief Swanson's credit, his knowledge in the community was added benefit that people from outside didn't have.
He was hired on his own merits and not due to the fact that his father was a respected and successful Woodstock town manager for 30 years, right?
Correct?
So he became chief July 15th, 2023, correct?
Yes.
And were you the one that put together his employment contract?
That was VLCT assisted, I believe.
Okay. I would like to just go over a couple of things in that contract with you. Did you, okay, and you probably have it in front of you too. Let me show you what I want to go through first. It looks like, okay, the agreement. Okay, it looks like the agreement, it refers to 24 VSA 1931. That's the police statute, correct?
I'll take your word for it. I haven't looked that up in, probably since.
Okay, but there's another place where it actually has the town manager. Have you ever noticed that it has the town, it's on the, here it is, on page 4.
Yep, number 2. Yes, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, what's that about? Did you just make a mistake?
Again, I think this was done with the help of VLCT, where I received it from them.
But that 24 VSA 1233, that would be from your contract, right?
It could have been, yes.
Okay, so maybe it was just cut and pasted into it.
I can't say.
Okay. Okay. Now, his contract required annual performance reviews, correct? You want me to find that part for you?
No, I found it. Yep, number C.
Okay. Under C?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, there it is. It says, shall review and formally evaluate at least once annually, correct?
Yes.
And you agree that the first year on a new job is often the toughest, correct?
Not necessarily, no.
No, that wasn't true for you?
I think the year's been tougher.
Okay. You never had any reason to institute any steps for discipline for Chief Swanson for the first year of his employment, correct?
Not with the knowledge I had at the time, no.
Now, I think the employment contract is already in evidence on yours, but I'd like to just move to have it admitted.
No objection, I can imagine, because it's the same. So Exhibit 6 is admitted.
Yep, thank you. And moving on to this is Exhibit 7. Hold on. Actually, this is just part of the personnel policy that's also admitted, so I don't think we need to admit 2 of them. But at the time, most of Chief Swanson's contract, progressive discipline was part of the personnel policies, correct?
So again,
His first year.
excuse me, objection to now that I see the exhibit, which I didn't object to admission before realizing this is one of them that has had highlighting added to it apparently. So, I don't understand it to be appropriate for the highlighted copy to go into evidence.
I don't think the copied ones have highlighting. I think this is highlighting on my thing.
Mine has highlighting too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Well, let's see what we've got in Exhibit 7. Bear with me for a second.
Well, I mean, if you want us to substitute them after this,
The town's exhibit is not highlighted. It's the old personnel policies, and
is this prejudicial in any way?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that question. Is it prejudicial if there's highlighting in here?
well, it could be unless the fact finders understand that there shouldn't draw anything from the fact that somebody chose to highlight certain sections they apparently want to call to their attention.
Yeah, I mean, I expect that the purpose of the highlighting is simply to draw our attention to it. I don't think that it changes the substance of what it is.
I think.
So, on that basis, I'm going to deny the objection and admit.
So my question, Mr. Duffy, is that for most of the time, until this policy was changed by you, progressive discipline was in place for Chief Swanson, correct?
First of all, I did not change the personnel policy. It's the select board and the trustees who control the personnel policy, so it'll be their decision to update it.
Well, didn't you write it and then they approve it?
I make recommendations.
But the ones they approved, they didn't write themselves, right? You
We wrote it
So-
internally, correct?
you wrote it.
Internally with help of other people, correct?
So you took out the progressive disciplinary process portion of the personnel policy for the updated version, correct?
That was on advice of council.
Pardon me?
That was on advice of council.
Advice of counsel.
Yes.
Okay. But I'm not asking you who advised you. I'm saying you did it, right?
On their advice, correct?
Okay. But you touted the taking out of the progressive disciplinary process as a good thing for your employees, right?
I don't recall that.
Didn't you tell your employees that the new updated policy was better for them?
It had better benefits.
But certainly you agree that a progressive disciplinary process is taking that out would not necessarily be better for an employee.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, taking out a progressive disciplinary process would not be better necessarily for an employee.
I never said it was.
Okay.
If I may, counsel, though, there was a more detailed progressive discipline provision in the prior version of the policy, but this does still talk about progressive.
No, this is the old one.
This is the old one.
This is
Okay.
the old one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I should clarify. The new one has no progressive discipline policy.
Thank you, Karen.
I'm sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. The confusion. This is the old one that was. Apparently, there was one in place for most of Chief Swanson's time as chief, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Duffy, that sometime in August there was a new policy that was adopted.
Correct.
But Chief Swanson didn't actually sign that policy until October, correct?
I believe that's the case, yes.
And in fact, I didn't have it as my exhibit, but I believe it wasn't introduced, but I believe in the manager's exhibit, it was, let me see, I took it out. No, it's here somewhere. Yeah. There was a sign thing in the manager's thing. We'll find it and go back to it. I don't want to other things.
I think it's like M33 or something.
Well, we can return to that. Okay, so you did in fact publicly praise Chief Swanson over the summer of 2024 for his actions as chief, correct?
I'm sure I did. I praised a lot of my department heads in public meetings, so I'm sure I did as well.
Right, and you said that he came in under budget for the police department, and that was very difficult for the first year?
I remember saying that, yes.
Okay. You congratulated him on being fully staffed from the police department?
I believe I did, yes.
Okay. And on September 10th, 2024, just a month before the October incident, you thanked him publicly. You want to publicly thank the police chief, his entire department, and also dispatchers for all the work they did. There was a situation, an incident that you didn't get into, but you did thank him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then you did conduct an annual performance review with Chief Swanson for the period of the first year of his employment, correct?
Yes, we never met to discuss it together.
Well, you had an appointment with Chief Swanson to discuss it, didn't you?
Yes, so at 4 p.m. the night before the meeting, Chief Swanson sent over his self-evaluation. I did not have enough time to review it and add my comments by the next morning. They were supposed to send it to us, I think, a week ahead of time. So we had a brief meeting and then we postponed the actual evaluation. We rescheduled, I think, once or twice over the summer. And I believe both times we had to cancel, once on my end and once because something came up for Chief Swanson.
So you did the evaluation yourself without his input?
So he submitted his part of it, and then I went through and wrote my part of it, which has been discussed already. but then we never got the chance to sit down together and go over it.
Okay. So when did you actually provide this evaluation to?
I believe everyone got it in May, and they're supposed to submit it by early June.
When did Chief Swanson get this final copy?
This copy, the filled out one,
Yes.
he never received it
Why not?
because we was going to sit down together and go over it together.
So by October 13th, you hadn't done that yet?
No, I said we had scheduled at least 2 other meetings that got canceled.
Okay. But this was done well before then, right?
I had signed it, I believe, you go to the last page in maybe early July.
Okay. Is there a reason that you never gave him the copy, even though you had canceled the meetings?
As I just said to you previously,
Oh,
that
he
the
canceled.
goal was to sit down together and go over it.
Okay. So since some of this is in your writing, and I just want to go over it with you, let's just go over it. In terms of quality of work, you found that Chief Swanson was responsive, works well, task accomplished on time. Is that correct? I just want to make sure that we're reading your writing correctly and nobody's having to interpret it.
That's what I said there, yes.
Okay. And then you said provides notice of leave. Can you read that second sentence? I'm not sure.
Attends all meetings.
Okay. And why don't you go down and read it for us, because I won't have to try to interpret.
Responds to all queries and accomplishes all work. Speaks well and intelligently on all meetings. Has my trust in decision making. Works to make department more efficient. Works hard and promotes work.
Hold on, we have to get to the next page here. Okay, go ahead.
Works hard and promotes work of staff. Knows the community well and the department. For staff,
Hold
always
on.
trying
I
to
think
get.
we're okay. Go ahead.
For staff, always trying to get more training. Then that's a reference to Officer Trucco going to the academy.
Okay. And then there's more, right?
I would like more communication.
No, it isn't. Oh, did we? Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I would like more communication on the day-to-day operation of the department.
So the only feedback you had for Chief Swanson was that you would like more communication on the day-to-day operations of the department,
Based on the knowledge I had at the time, yes.
but he never saw this because you never gave it to him, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And there's also more, right?
Yes, so this is the one where he filled it out. And
No,
then
this last comment here before, just on top of your signature.
I acknowledge that opportunity to discuss this performance evaluation with the manager.
Chief Swanson had a good and effective first year on the job, is that?
Yes.
Okay. And then there was another portion that it looks like the employee comments and then you comment underneath it, correct?
Yes, this is the one that he sent to me 4 p.m. the night before the meeting.
Okay. And that's where he said how he thought he was doing, and then underneath you put your comments.
Yes.
Why don't you just read your comments for us?
Good getting and remaining full staffed. Hired a great sergeant. Encouraged training. Still doing SI cases.
What does that mean?
Sexual investigation.
Okay. Then we're moving on to the next page.
More communication needed from chief about inner workings of the department. Great knowledge of community and players. More communication with manager. More interactions with public.
Okay.
Continue to build leadership skills and manage skills. Better picture for forecasting of spending. I believe that's better funding for budget.
Okay. Would he be in charge of funding?
He would be in charge of requesting funding and advocating for it in the budget.
Okay. And then there's one final page, and then we'll be done with this.
Officers seem happy and enjoy working with the chief.
Okay. So you obviously didn't just make this stuff up, right? You got this from somewhere.
Based on the knowledge I had at the time, yes.
Okay. So you're saying that there was information you didn't know about when you did this, correct?
Yes, I think we heard it today.
But if you didn't know about that information, somehow you expect Chief Swanson should have known about that information?
Yes, it's his department. He should know what's happening inside his department.
Okay. But you're his supervisor, correct?
Correct?
And all the recommendations you had for him as his supervisor was that more communication from the chief about the inner workings of the department, right?
Yes.
And as a supervisor, wouldn't it be your responsibility to talk to his people and to find out what's going on in the department?
Yeah, what I found out was I was asking the wrong questions.
Okay, so the questions that you asked led you to think that he had a great relationship with his employees and he was doing wonderfully, right?
I'd ask, how are things going to staff, and they say good.
Okay. Do you think that that was a failing of yours as a supervisor, that you didn't somehow figure out all of these things that you're now saying are cause for his demotion?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, is that your failing as a supervisor, that you didn't find out all these things that you're now saying is cause for his demotion?
I don't think it's a feeling on my part. I think I can always do better, and we put things in place since then to have a better system of communication with employees and staff.
Okay, but you didn't know, and somehow you think that Chief Swanson should know that things were not going well, even though he gets this glowing recommendation from you.
Correct.
Okay. You gave him a raise after this. Actually, it was effective July 1st, correct?
All department heads received a 3% COLA this past year.
Okay. You didn't have to give him that raise, correct?
I gave all department heads a 3% COLA.
But it's discretionary.
It is?
Okay. Actually, you were required under Chief Swanson's employment contract, correct, to consistently discuss goals and objectives that you felt were necessary for the department, right?
Yes.
And you scheduled some bi-weekly meetings with Chief Swanson?
There were bi-weekly meetings with every department head. There were at least monthly staff meetings, and I believe monthly department head meetings as well, sorry, it's late. Also, random check-ins when I'd pop by the police department or when he'd come to town hall.
Okay. And there was several occasions after you commented that you wanted more communication, you canceled several biweekly staff meetings, correct?
No, there were 4 canceled meetings, I believe. One of them was rescheduled the next week. Another one was because I was on vacation. Another one was canceled, but because there was a staff meeting the next week, it wasn't rescheduled. And one of them, I'm not sure why it was canceled.
Okay, but you see that from August through October, these four of the biweekly meetings were canceled, correct?
They were rescheduled.
Okay. I'd move to admit Swanson's Exhibit 9.
Any objection to Exhibit 9?
I don't see the relevance, but I won't object.
Okay.
Exhibit 9 is admitted.
Now, between the time of this evaluation that occurred, oops, let me get this, and October 13, you didn't have any negative feedback for Chief Swanson regarding his performance in the intervening time, did you?
I can't say for certain. I'm sure there was constructive criticism or feedback I had at certain points, but nothing rising to the level of discipline.
Nothing in writing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you can't recall any of those things that you might have talked to him about now?
I can call 1 or 2 of them if we want to talk about them.
Nothing had risen to the level of any intervention for discipline, correct?
No.
Okay. And Chief Swanson never indicated to you any unwillingness or an inability to perform any tasks that you assigned him, did he?
There were times when I asked to do something and there was pushback, or either asked a few times for it to happen.
None of those have been documented.
Not written now.
Okay. So that's just something you have in your mind that you remember.
There were conversations with him about them, yes.
Okay. He never refused to follow any of your orders, did he?
Can I ask what time frame the question refers to?
We're talking about before October 13th, 2024. Well, let me,
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when I had to not force him, but strongly encourage him to let me know about an officer being disciplined. There was a time when we had a disagreement about not ticketing Mechanic Street. There was a time when he came in angry about that, and I had to take him to another room to have the conversation because I didn't want it to happen publicly.
but he didn't refuse ultimately to follow your order.
I don't believe so now.
Okay, that was my question. Now, he obeyed orders even on times when he disagreed that they were appropriate, correct?
I only know of one scenario that you're speaking of.
And that's that you told Chief Swanson to use the Vermont alert system for voting. He told you he didn't think that was appropriate, but you overruled him, told him to do it, and he did it as you instructed, correct?
Yes.
And then shortly after that, the Vermont alert system let you know that he was in fact right and it was not appropriate.
My recollection is that Beth told him that for VT alert couldn't be used, and then he translated that to me.
What happened?
That Beth told him that VT alert shouldn't be used for it.
I didn't
My
understand.
recollection is that Beth in dispatch was the one who said we shouldn't use it for this purpose, and Joe translated that to me, and I said, no, Joe, it should be okay, go forward.
Well, we've seen let's look at the email chain here.
So this is before the email chain, so this is before the post happened.
But you see the email chain that says that it was your decision, and you asked the chief to do it. He pushed back, and you did not listen to him, correct?
Yes.
Oops, I'm sorry. I should put that on. That's what that says, right?
Yes.
Your decision, asked him to do it. He pushed back. You didn't listen. He did it anyway, though, right? He did what you told him.
Yes.
Okay. So before October 13th, 2024, you don't have any documentation of any of the complaints that you believe Chief Swanson's coworkers may have made about him. No complaints at all. No, nothing writing.
No.
Okay. And no evidence, nothing in writing of any complaints from the public about Chief Swanson before October 13th in his role as chief.
There were phone calls.
I said evidence in writing.
I can't for certain there may have been some emails. I don't know.
You don't have any evidence in writing that you ever questioned Chief Swanson's honesty, integrity, hard work, and respect for others prior to October 13th, 2024, correct?
In writing?
Yes.
Not that I can recall at this time.
Okay. No evidence in writing that you had reason to question Chief Swanson's leadership abilities before October 13th, 2024.
Not that I'm aware of now.
Okay. So on October 13th, the incident that occurred regarding Chief Swanson, your upset around that was that you were upset and angry that he
Excuse
had.
me, I was not upset.
You weren't upset?
No.
That he hadn't notified you immediately?
Upset? No.
You never told him that that was a big problem for you, that he hadn't notified you immediately?
If I had to use a word, it'd be disappointed.
Ah, so you were disappointed but not upset.
Correct.
Okay. And the reason that you were disappointed is that you believed he should have called you right away.
I believe he should have contacted myself or the police department to let him know what happened.
And you believed that even though you're not a police officer and you don't have the qualifications to determine what is appropriate for a police officer off duty, correct? There was just something you believed.
I believe if an employee of mine is involved in a potential incident, in this case, a potential assault, that they should do the right thing in the moment and let our police department know what had happened.
Well, Chief Swanson wasn't involved in a potential assault.
At the time, my information did not make that clear.
Okay. But you continue to be upset with Chief Swanson.
I never used the word upset.
Disappointed, I'm sorry. You continue to be disappointed with Chief Swanson throughout the ongoing months actually, you were still referring to it on February 20th, correct?
I was disappointed that night. I did not say I was disappointed for 4 months. I never said those words.
But you continue to accuse him of, even after he was cleared of any misconduct by the Vermont State Police and by the Vermont Council, you continued to accuse him of being unreasonable in not notifying you, didn't you?
I believe I referred to it as a lack of good judgment.
Right. So you were still saying that he had done something wrong arising out of that, the fact that he hadn't notified you right away.
Myself or the police department, yes.
Right. So even after he was cleared by 2 law enforcement agencies, you had the personal opinion that he had disappointed you.
He wasn't cleared of bad judgment. He was cleared of no criminal conduct.
He was cleared of no unprofessional conduct as well, right?
From their analysis, yes,
Okay.
and their guidelines.
But you disagreed with that.
I didn't disagree with what their rulings were. No.
Well, you just said he had bad judgment because he didn't notify you.
Excuse me, I mean, this is without foundation because the questions don't include the fact that there are different standards involved in these 3 different forums.
Yeah, if you could be more specific, I mean, there are different standards here. It's the Vermont Criminal Justice Council standards and it's the employer standards, so
Okay.
let's focus
One
on
of them is criminal conduct, the other is unprofessional behavior. But my question to you, Mr. Duffy, is that despite those, you still decided that he had had bad judgment.
Okay, I have to object because that is a misrepresentation of the Vermont Criminal Justice Council standards. It is not criminal conduct only.
No, I said Vermont was that, the state police.
And to be clear, he was cleared of criminal violations, I understand it. Also cleared of violations of the VCJC rules under Act 56, and the other framework that we're talking about is employer rules. So
Of unprofessional conduct, right?
yes, okay, but if you could be specific
Okay.
as to what you're talking about.
Okay,
we would all-
I understand the request. So the Vermont Council did not label his behavior as unprofessional, but you continue to believe that he had bad judgment arising out of that incident.
I was looking into that, yes.
Well, up until February 20th, 2024, right?
Correct.
Okay. But ultimately, you did decide that you could not use that as anything against Chief Swanson in terms of his demotion.
Correct.
Okay. Now, this incident on October 13th, that actually set in motion a series of actions that you took, correct?
I wouldn't use that terminology, but things happen after that, correct?
Well, they happened after that because of that incident, correct?
Um,
Initially.
I can't say that. The complaints came to me after that incident. I can't say that was the only reason why the complaints came forward at that time.
Okay, but that wasn't my question. Let's just go over each one. First of all, you emailed Chief Swanson and asked to meet at your office the next day on October 15th, correct?
That's not the first thing I did after the incident, no.
Well, I'm saying in terms of your, let me clarify that. In terms of dealing with Chief Swanson and taking action against him, the first thing you did was emailed him on 10/14 to meet at your office the next day, correct?
The first thing I did was to contact the Vermont State Police to do a private investigation, and then I had conversations with council and VLCT for guidance.
Okay, but I'm
Which-
talking now about your interactions with Chief Swanson. Sorry if
and,
that
and
wasn't
which
clear.
they advised to place on administrative leave.
Okay,
And that was on, so the incident was on a Sunday. Monday night, I emailed Chief Swanson to meet Tuesday morning.
okay. And he told you actually in that email that he was planning to talk to you on, he said he was planning to talk to you on the next business day anyway, correct?
What he said was I was going to email you in the morning to ask a good time to meet anyway.
Okay. And that is Exhibit 11, so we can admit that?
Yes.
Okay.
11 is admitted.
Right. And then you did put him on administrative leave, you said, correct?
Yes.
And you took his gun, his police ID, badge, building keys, and vehicle. Is that right?
I didn't take them. They were surrendered to Sergeant O'Keefe.
Okay, but you ordered that he give those up.
Correct.
Okay. You told him that that administrative leave wasn't meant to be disciplinary, correct?
Correct.
And I think you had testified earlier that you didn't think that at this point you did not believe that necessarily that Chief Swanson was being investigated for doing anything, correct? For doing anything improper. This was a precaution,
We didn't know at the time what had occurred.
but you were in fact investigating. On October 14th, you had already said that you were investigating his actions or lack thereof, correct?
Where are you reading that?
Oh, it's not in there, but I can bring it up to you. This is a email that you had with one of the trustees. And if we can go just down where it says, we are investigating his actions or lack thereof, correct?
Before the witness answers, can we see what the document is?
Yeah, I'm sorry, here it is.
Is this not a marked exhibit?
It's not. Okay. So moving on to the disciplinary letter, you also instructed the police and dispatch staff not to discuss any work issues with Chief Swanson in a staff email after that, correct?
Correct.
And that would be exhibit number 13. Any objection?
Pardon me. Exhibit 13 is which now?
This email right here. Where you said, do not discuss any work-related issues with Joe. If you should see him, you can acknowledge him and speak, but no talk about business related, correct?
What's the question? I'm sorry.
That he did in fact instruct his staff not to speak with.
This email
Chiefs.
that's not from Mr. Duffy, you're saying is Mr. Duffy's instructions? I'm not following.
I'm sorry. Where is it?
Is it 14? Because Exhibit 13 is Lisa Linton to a variety.
Hold
of
on,
folks.
maybe I've got the wrong one
That was
here.
the right one.
It's the right one. All right, hold on. It's the right one. It says here. Okay, hold on. Let me find it again. Oops, where are we? All right. So Lisa Linton sent out to all staff saying that Joe has been placed on paid administrative leave. The police department met with Eric today. In the interim, Chris will be acting chief. And then it says, moving forward, Joe is not allowed in the building. If you see him enter the building, call Chris. Also, we do not discuss any work-related issues with him. You authorized this, correct?
It's stated in an administrative leave letter.
But you authorized this to go out to the staff. Lisa Linton wouldn't have authority to do this on her own, would she?
I believe I told Sergeant O'Keefe to send an email out about what we discussed.
Okay. And in fact, in that same email, you asked them to alert you, correct, if he was seen in the building?
Those are their words, not mine.
Okay. But somebody decided that Chris should be alerted if the acting chief should be alerted if Joe was seen in the building?
Someone wrote it on an email.
Are you saying somebody, not you, made up that policy?
I can't recall exactly what we said, but if you look at that administrative leave letter, Mr. Swanson's not supposed to enter the building unless he has prior approval by me.
Okay.
But this would be in line with what the policy was while he was on leave.
Okay. And you later told Chief Swanson that he could not access his work email, correct? That's Exhibit 14.
Yeah, going back to the administrative letter, it says you're not to perform any services or any other activity related to your position of employment with the village or town unless directed otherwise. So using town email would be in violation of the policy.
Okay. And all this was non-disciplinary, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'd like to admit the exhibits that have not been admitted yet. I think 12, 13, 11, 12, 13, 14.
I think 8 got missed.
Pardon me?
I think 8 got missed.
8 got missed too.
I didn't check it.
No,
off.
8 was already admitted at a different
Previously? Okay.
witness.
Yeah, we've got 8 admitted.
Yeah.
So 11, 12, 13, 14. Council, any objection to any of these?
No.
Okay. 11,
Okay.
12, 13, 14 are admitted.
Thank you. All right. Now, oops, hold on. Missing something here. All right. Now, you're claiming that you began to receive complaints from both your staff and the public after you placed Chief Swanson on leave, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this was also after you issued a press release in this case, correct?
We released a press release, yes.
And that's when you started receiving the complaints from staff and the public after, because you issued the press release right away, right, on the 15th?
That would have been a Tuesday. I'm not sure if I got any complaints that day or not.
Okay, but by the 17th, when you were emailing Sergeant O'Keefe, you had received some complaints.
Yes.
So sometime between the 14th and the 17th, you started receiving complaints.
That's correct.
Okay, and the press release that you sent out. Now, in this press release, you say that, you referred the matter to the Vermont State Police, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And all right, let me see. You also say in the second paragraph, the town and village of Woodstock is committed to ensuring that complaints regarding our police officers are addressed in an appropriate fashion. That's what you said, right?
That's right there, yes.
There had been no complaints against Chief Swanson at that point, right?
There was someone who came in the police department alleging that 2 men ran up to him and one of them stopped him.
But
And
no
I would view that as a potential criminal complaint.
So you interpreted that you wanted the public to believe that there were complaints against Chief Swanson,
No, that's not my intention.
but you are saying that you believe there was a complaint against him,
We had a complaint that came into the police department.
against Chief Swanson?
We weren't sure at that time.
So you weren't sure if there was a complaint against Chief Swanson, but you notified the public that you took complaints seriously against
We were
officers.
aware that there was complaints. We were aware that Mr. Swanson and his husband were involved in that incident. That's the information we had at the time.
But you were not aware of any complaint against Chief Swanson directly.
I don't understand your question.
Well, you told the public that you took complaints against officers seriously. Don't you think that would give the impression that there was a complaint made?
What that statement was meant to ensure the public knew that we are always going to take complaints against anyone seriously, and we're going to do the best ability to be as transparent as possible.
You were actually asked to correct that impression because you were informed that people were taking it wrongly and thinking that Chief Swanson had in fact been accused of something, correct?
I'm going to object right here because there's no foundation for somebody told him that.
I can make that foundation. I'll set the foundation.
Okay.
Right. You got a letter on October 16th from me. Is that right?
Yep.
And in that letter, you were informed that Chief Swanson had heard from the public that they were some Woodstock residents who were under the impression that he was accused of involvement in criminal activity.
So before the witness answers, again, I'll just object. I'm not really sure about a letter from the party's lawyer, who's not testifying witness, is putting her own prior statements into the record as evidence. I'm concerned about that.
I'll allow the line of questioning to the extent that it asks about what the manager's response to it was.
Right. Your response to this was to do nothing, correct?
I had not gotten any more information on what had happened that night at that time.
Okay. So you did not correct any public misimpression after receiving this letter?
That's correct.
Okay. And in fact, you got a letter from a member of the public, Lewis Allen, who sent a letter. Actually, she sent it to the Vermont State Police after hearing the information about an incident that was about a bank deposit box back in April 2024, correct? I'm sorry. After this release came out, a member of the public sent you a complaint, or sent the Vermont State Police a complaint about something that happened months earlier regarding Chief Swanson. Is that right?
Is that in here?
It should be in there.
Can you tell us where that is?
I can.
I think it was in our exhibits. If
I
that's
think it
helpful.
was. I
If
think that will
there's a
help.
long-
Yes, it was. It was
I
number,
think it's number 3, maybe? Or- 3 or 8.
yeah.
It's 8.
Yeah, I think I got that late, so I didn't incorporate it into my trial pad. Hmm.
I believe it's number 8. Manager.
Oh, you
number
know, I
8.
think I have ours, because you had added yours to it. So,
Linda, here you
I think it's in yours.
go. Manager 8.
Yeah,
what you-
but we've got an extra part too, but yours will do. Thank you. All right, so we've got it. So it looks like Lewis Allen, back in October, let me see what the date was that she,
October 24th.
yeah, October 24th, she decided, because she had seen something about Chief Swanson being investigated, that she was going to send you a complaint about something that happened months earlier, correct?
I read this email that this was sent to the state, and it was forwarded. I never got it from the state, and it looks like on November 28th, it was the citizen sent it to me with the attachment.
But the original complaint was from Lewis Allen to Adam Silverman of Vermont State Police on October 24th.
Correct.
Right. And she says that she is attaching a document. And she doesn't know if it's in any way connected with the October 13th, but she's sending it to you because she wants you to know about this alleged unprofessional conduct, correct?
I can't speak to what her intention was.
Just asking you what she said in there.
And just to be clear, it's Lewis Allen. Is it a he or a she?
I don't know.
Okay, I just heard she,
Do you
so
know?
I was confused about who the writer was.
I-
I assumed Lewis is a he.
I don't know. We don't know.
Okay, Lewis Allen.
Lewis Allen.
Just wanted to make sure I was looking at the right document. Thank you. Sorry.
It could be a he or she, but any event, we can move on from this. But the fact is that she sees this, she sends a complaint to someone on October 24th saying that she wants to complain about something that happened months earlier. And actually, you used this in your last pre-discipline letter against Chief Swanson, correct?
We used the incident that they talked about, yes.
Okay. And Joe will discuss it on his direct, so we can move on. Okay. So you began processing sending your information to the Vermont Criminal Justice Council pretty soon into this whole situation after October 13th, correct?
Yes.
But you never informed Chief Swanson that you had, in fact, filed with the Vermont Council, correct?
I viewed it as an obligation we had to do, not a request on my end. And my conversations with them early on was that the whole process was confidential, so that's how I treated it.
So the answer is yes, you never informed Chief Swanson.
I was following guidelines I got from the council.
And even when you were asked specifically whether you had filed, you didn't respond that you had.
I don't remember being asked specifically, but that could be the case. I don't know.
Okay. So there was a letter. There was a letter that was sent in November. Do you recall getting a letter from an attorney that was not me, asking you to specify why you were not sending this to the Vermont Council?
I don't have the letter in front of me, so I can't speak to it.
Okay, I'll get that for you. Actually, it's over here.
I mean, I don't see theirs.
Here it is. I got it. Sorry, 39. It's Exhibit 39, but let me just bring it up to you, make it easier. This was a letter that you got from an attorney representing Chief Swanson and asking you specifically to tell him why you had not sent it to the Vermont Council, correct?
I haven't read the whole thing.
Well, I'll point it out for you so we don't have to go through the whole thing. Okay, actually, let's do another page there. Let's see, the last page. There it is. All right. This letter, November 27th, this is Attorney Vassila, and he says, "We are requesting the following: a paper trail confirming that the complaints against Chief Swanson were referred to the council. If the complaints were not referred to the council, we're requesting a legal analysis setting forth the basis for that decision." Correct?
Excuse me, lack of foundation, there's no representation that the letter's addressed or was sent to Mr. Duffy. It's in fact not addressed to Mr. Duffy.
Well, it's addressed to Mr. Duffy's attorney, and if he can tell me if he never received it.
Well, you haven't asked that question yet.
No, I haven't. You reviewed the letter. Are you saying that you didn't know that there was an outstanding request to let Chief Swanson know about your actions with the council?
I received a letter through my attorney, and on advice of the council, responded the way we responded.
So, you-
I don't know how we responded in front of me.
so you don't know if you ever told Chief Swanson that the matter was referred to the council?
As I said previously, that my understanding was it was all confidential, and that's how I treated it.
So you treated it as confidential from the person involved as well?
When I talked to the council, they said it was a confidential process.
Okay. Now, we've already seen from Sergeant O'Keefe the email that you sent to him asking him to ask his staff to provide you with complaints if they had them in writing, correct? Let me get that up so that we can
Could you
see
say
it.
that phrasing again, please?
Yes, I will. And I'll also get it up again, even though we've seen it once. We actually haven't seen it. All right. So the email, here's the email. And this is the one you sent to Sergeant O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
And this is the one where you tell him that over the last few days, and it was actually only like 2 or 3 days, right, since this thing had happened, you heard various complaints about issues surrounding the police department, correct?
Yes.
And you ask him, you tell him there's a difference between a conversation and an official complaint. And basically what you're saying, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're saying you heard things that were unsubstantiated, but you wanted to see if they they could be substantiated.
No, that's not correct.
Okay, then you heard things that did not rise to an official complaint, is that correct?
No.
It says hearing what one person told to another does not give the town the ability to file and investigate a complaint.
Officers came to me willingly to offer complaints. I never told them in those conversations that what they told me could lead to potential actions. So I wanted to give them the opportunity, if they came to me and were just venting or didn't take it seriously, that they wouldn't be held accountable, and the people who felt serious about the complaints would have an avenue to come talk to me, with the understanding that if they talk to me, there could be actions beyond that conversation.
It says hearing what one person told to another. What did you mean by that? Hearing what one person told to another usually means hearsay. Is that not what you meant?
The intent was what they're telling me.
So you're saying hearing what one person told to another means hearing what they told you did not give the town the ability to file and investigate a complaint?
I think what I said, my intention was to let them know that coming to me to talk to coming to me in conversation and telling me something could result in serious action, and I want them to be aware of that, so the opportunity to come back and talk to me. If I use the wrong words, then I use the wrong words in that.
Is that what you're saying? That hearing what one person told to another means that somebody told something to you?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Well, it's right in there in your own writing. To clarify, hearing what one person told to another does not give the town the ability to file. And all I'm asking you is, I think what you said is, you're saying that that means what one person told you. That you're saying that that's what it refers to.
Yes.
Okay, so whatever somebody told you did not give the town the ability to file and investigate a complaint. Is that how we're supposed to read that?
No, like I said, again, the intent was they came to me to say something. I did not tell them in that meeting that what they said could lead to further action. So I was clarifying by saying, if you want to come to me again, I will consider this official conversation, and then something could come from that conversation.
Okay, but you asked for written statements or emails to make an official complaint or to meet with you to make an official complaint or statement, right?
Yes.
But you didn't get any official complaints or statements, did you?
I met with employees and took notes with their approval.
You never produced those notes, have you?
I don't think I believe I've been asked for them.
You were asked in a public record request to provide all of the materials that you had related to these, and you didn't provide them, did you?
Excuse me, but there's lack of foundation. The question suggests that personal notes of a municipal employee are in fact public records, which is a matter of law, not the case.
You don't have any recollection of producing those notes to anyone?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Counsel,
But-
I don't want to cut off your cross. I'm trying to understand it. It looks like what he's saying here, correct me if I'm wrong, is that he said, I need more than just an oral complaint from you. I need you to put something in writing and make it clear. And I mean, I think we get that. So I don't know where else we're going with that.
Okay, we can move on. But you didn't get any, I think the reason this has gone on is I said you didn't get any official written complaints, and the answer was you had taken notes. But the answer to my question was no, you did not get any official complaints, right? Written complaints.
Written complaints? No.
Okay, thank you. And
one other thing before we go on, do you want to just move any exhibits into evidence?
probably I do, yes.
Just so we can.
I think these are already in, actually. I think that's what happened.
The
I
last
do-
one we admitted was 14.
All right, yes, 15, 16, 17, oh no, 15, 16. I don't need 17. I think 19 is already in.
19 is in.
Okay. All right.
So-
Move on.
So offered is 15 and 16 and 17. Right with that?
No, 17 I think is already in through managers.
Okay, so you're offering 15 and 16. Any objections from managers council?
Yes, object to 16, which is a letter from an attorney.
Oh, no, I don't want it. Okay. Pardon me?
Object to 16, your letter to Mr. Duffy.
So, Attorney Frass, is the purpose of 16 to get to what the manager did in response to it? Was that? I mean, I
Yes.
think that's what the line of questioning was. So
Yes,
I
yes.
think I will admit it for the limited purpose of the testimony that you got out of the manager, which was just what was his response to 16. So I'll admit it on that limited basis.
Okay, thank you. All right. So even though you didn't get any of these documented complaints that you had requested, you decided anyway to go forward with a internal investigation, correct?
So I had documented complaints. I took notes in those meetings with their approval.
Nothing in terms of what you would consider a official complaint for a department, correct?
I consider those official complaints.
So you had considered them official complaints, so there would be no reason you wouldn't disclose them, correct?
That decision was based on advice from counsel.
Okay. So you considered these complaints that no one's ever seen, or not, I shouldn't say that we haven't seen, that these notes that you took, those are what you decided to launch the investigation on?
Yes.
Okay. And were those complaints that you heard any different than the testimony that people gave today?
Yes, there are some things that did not come up.
Were there things that you considered egregious in those complaints?
At the time, I had concerns about them, yes.
And what were they? What did they say that was so concerning?
One of them was,
May I'd like to approach, actually.
Okay.
I guess you are Your Honor now.
I will grant it, though we may end up having to talk about this in an open session. So, in fact, why don't we leave the room momentarily so that we can have a conversation out of earshot of the trustees, and we may return.